Next we're going to have a look at invoicing timesheets. I'm already in a temp job in the front end of the database and I'm on the timesheets tab within the job itself, and there are two timesheets that somebody or consultant has gone into and populated and completed. So if I just go into the first one using the arrow on the left, George Clooney for Sainsbury's, and I can see that this one, week ending the 15th of June 2014, somebody has gone in and entered that he's done standard hours, Monday to Friday, 8, second day on the Tuesday was half a day of holiday taken, and then another 8 hours on the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then whoever's completed this timesheet has then gone into the top right hand corner and clicked the completed checkbox in the top right hand corner. So if I close this timesheet down now using the cross, top left, and then these two timesheets, one for George, one for John, same job, same company, obviously Sainsbury's, have both been completed, so they should now appear in the back office ready for invoicing. So if I go to the home page and then to the admin section, clicking the admin button in the top right hand corner. And then just as we did for invoicing a permanent placement, if we select back office links on the left and click on back office, this takes us into the area for invoicing. So by default, when I open this window, I'm already on the timesheet details tab at the top, and it currently shows us any timesheets for the current week ending 14th of September. I need to find those two that were back in July, so I'm just going to change the date back to the 9th of June to the 15th of June. And there are the two timesheets that we saw in the front end, George Clooney and John Travolta, for week ending the 15th of June. If I select one of them using the arrow on the left, I can see the rates and the hours and units that were put in at the front end. I can obviously still edit them at this point as well myself by adding another row of rates and then the amount of hours over on the right hand side. The other thing I need to make sure I either switch on or not is whether or not these are AWR applicable. So if I just select the AWR checkbox for both of those, now we can see that certainly John Travolta, because that's the one I'm on at the top, has one qualifying AWR week. Okay, once the timesheet has been completed, which I can also do from here by clicking on one of these complete checkboxes, top left, the timesheets will then move across to the timesheets to invoice tab at the top. So if I move across to timesheets to invoice, I can see those two timesheets for George Clooney and John Travolta listed. And because obviously that's the same company, I can flag both of them on at the same time. And then at the bottom of the screen, I have the option just to do a one invoice with one timesheet or one invoice which has many timesheets. So I'm going to create one invoice for both timesheets. So I'm going to select one to many and then hit the create invoice button at the bottom. Again, like permanent invoicing, it takes me into the invoices area of the database and I can see that invoice listed. If I click the arrow to the left, it will take me into the invoice in form view. And now I can see I've got two line items, one for George Clooney and one for John Travolta. And I've got the units and the price or the total over on the right hand side. If I want to see the timesheets that relate to these two line items, if I go to the next tab along in here, which is related timesheets, it shows me those timesheets that those two line items relate to, and the arrows on the left will actually take me into those timesheets if I need to go back in to look at them. Just like permanent invoicing, if I then want to invoice these timesheets, if I move across to the invoice setup tab, and again select the address that I want to use as the invoice address, the contact who's going to be in the invoice address if I need it. Again, the description is already one to many because I selected that before I created the invoice, and I'm using the standard layout and the bank details called default. And then in the bottom right hand corner, again just as we did for permanent placement invoicing, click on the print button and up will come the invoice. Again, just as before, I can go to the print options tab on the right and I can select whether or not I want a logo appearing at the top of the invoice or at the bottom of the invoice, and also whether I want a footer to appear at the bottom of the invoice as well. And then if I click the email PDF button, up comes the email window, and if I go to the linked contacts and attachments tab, the invoice has automatically been attached to the email, and I can go back to the email body tab and type in the information that I want to send. Send it using the Send Immediately button at the top. Asking me if I want to create a follow-up to do, I don't. And then if I just close this window down, I go back to the invoice and it's all done. And that's how to invoice timesheets in HRS Pro.